afternoon. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant TV. We're syndicated on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Again, thank you so much for watching. You know, in the last segment, we were talking about what to do when your husband ignores you. You know, fair game. Never going to talk about what to do when your wife ignores you, okay? So you got to be fair about all of this, okay? So this is found on atarman.com, ATARMAN.com. So 13 tips to do when your wife ignores you. Okay, so if your wife ignores you, then as a husband, you feel this is very terrible for you. If your wife ignores you, no doubt you're feeling lost, angry, and uncomfortable, and we feel for you. It's important for you to recognize that it may, in fact, just be a symptom of something else. Us women are kind of wired different from you men goes. So I want you to understand us just a little bit better. Okay, number one, someone is unfaithful. It could be that. You know, don't want to go there. Don't want to think that could be, but it could be. So why a wife ignores the husband, 13 tips to do when your wife ignores you. So why a woman ignores the husband, try to figure it out, okay? It could be that you ignored her needs. It could be. You could be surprised to learn that sometimes a wife will ignore her husband because she feels neglected by him. If your wife feels that you see her primarily as a maid or as a caregiver for the children, she's not going to be inclined to treat you as well as she used to. And I know we all work hard, and sometimes things happen, and sometimes I'm like the worst in this relationship. I mean, I can just say something totally off the wall, and after I've said it, go, ooh, let me try to get that back in my mouth again. I can do that. But now you guys do the same thing, okay? So equal for all of us. Okay, so could be that she feels neglected. Could be there are certain rules in every relationship. You may have been busy with your work and you just haven't noticed your wife's needs. You may have to respect her needs. You may have done something to upset your partner that may be the reason she's ignoring you. She may be hurt. You know, sometimes that happens. She may be feeling hurt about some aspect of your relationship, and she's pulling away as a way to protect herself from being hurt further. This is called intimacy avoidance. Okay, could happen. Maybe she's just preoccupied with other activities. She may be simply preoccupied with other activities in her life. It's not as devoting as much attention to you as she did in the relationship. Maybe that's why you feel she's ignoring you. You know, sometimes some people can only do one thing at a time. I'm one of those, I want like 10 things going on at the same time. But some people can't do that. And you may be one of those who is like, well, I got 10 jobs going on at the same time. And maybe your spouse is just not geared that way. They're not wired that way. We need to try to understand each other more. I was listening to a guy one time who was talking about his wife is always slow getting ready to go to church. He said she's always late. He said, I get up and I get done. Of course, she's got like a million things to do, that he doesn't have to do in this relationship. But he was talking about that. And he said, here's what I learned to do. He said, I've learned to pace myself. He said, I know she's going to be late. She just always will. And he said, so I've just learned to add something else to my activities Sunday morning so that I don't get irritated. And he said, here I'm the pastor of the church, and I get irritated at my wife being late. So people are just wired differently. And this is another thing, opposites attract. I don't like myself that much. I would not want to be married to anybody like me. So I'm married to someone who's totally opposite than I am. We just had to work on that. And his strengths are really, really good for my weaknesses. So I get to learn, like the things I'm weak at, I get to watch what he does, and it makes me a stronger person. We got to think about it that way. I know it's difficult sometimes, but we have to. Okay, could be marital issues. Saying or doing the wrong thing that can actually cause your wife to feel even more distant with you. She may be angry and resentful towards you because of unresolved marital issues, and you probably never discussed these issues with her. She may be trying to focus your attention on some unresolved issues in the marriage many times, but maybe you didn't have the time to listen to her, and that will also be a reason she starts ignoring you to avoid all of this. Sometimes a lot of men take pride in getting a woman to like them so they can easily ignore signals when a woman isn't into them, so they just don't pay any attention to the signals. They're busy too. Everybody's busy. If your wife realizes that you have no appreciation for her feelings and emotions, then she might feel that there is no spark left in the married life. And maybe because of this, she also just starts ignoring you. Could be. Of course, this one you can't be sure about because the only way to actually know if she's losing her interest in you is if you ask her. She could be cheating on you. If she's truly losing interest in you, she's trying to get as far away from you as she can for that reason. That she may like someone else, and this could be a reason for her to ignore you. But if the whole thing is because you've ignored her, and so she's in another relationship with somebody else, the quicker you talk about this and the quicker you think, well, this is not an issue, if you just keep strumming on and on and on and on, you don't want to face the issue, it's just going to be harder. You need to go ahead and talk about it. Okay, open it up and talk about it. Okay, infidelity or an extramarital affair may also be a possible reason that can increase the distance between you and your wife, but it's wrong to make any conclusion unless you have a proof of this. Don't just think it's happening. It could be a million other things. Maybe she's sick and didn't tell you because she didn't want to worry you. And it just appears to you like she's having an affair and she's not really having one. Okay, maybe you're thinking this is wrong. It could be. Now let's have some tips. I've got 13 tips to do when your wife ignores you. Okay, and again, a lot of time, I think that the enemy wants to divide us. The enemy wants to divide you at work. He wants to divide you on Facebook. And he wants to divide your marriage. He wants to divide you with your kids. Don't let it happen, okay? Just get up in the morning and say, enemy, you're not going to divide us. You're just not gonna, okay? All right, so here's some tips. So what should you do if your wife ignores you? There are effective ways you can do this that you can get a handle on it, okay, when she's ignoring you. And I'm going to tell you what, she'll be putty in your hands if you'll do these things right here. I promise you this. Number one, soften, and this is in quotes, soften towards your wife. The first thing you can do in this situation is to soften. And I'll explain what this means. Our mind is an important part of our body. That is, whatever we're thinking about, whatever we believe, or whatever we're thinking on, and our thoughts change everything else about us. They can change our body language, they can change the tone of our voice, the words we say, and the actions that we do. So if right now you're thinking about how angry you are at your wife's ignorance, how hurt you are, how much you can't believe that this happened, or how guilty you feel as you should have been able to do something to stop this from happening in the first place, all those thoughts affect you. They're going to affect your actions, reactions, and your interactions that you have with your wife. But when you let these emotions control everything about you, it can affect the way you interact with your spouse. Absolutely. Okay, that was number one, soften towards your wife. Okay. Number two, be kind and positive. Be kind and positive. It could be something else. It could be that she, got a message that her friend she went to high school with passed away. It could be something, and maybe you think it's going to be silly. Us women, sometimes we act like that. We think, oh, he's going to think I'm being silly, so I'm just not going to tell him. And then he may think, this is how it all happens, okay? So we got to be more open. We got to be more discussing things. We must do that. Okay. Be kind and positive. Now, your wife knows well that she is desperately treating you in a negative and cold attitude, but she knows it. But when she notices that you still try to keep positive, whether you are around her or not, sooner or later, she'll give more attention and appreciation to you. Because I'm just telling you, my parents did this. One would speak, not speak. They wouldn't speak to each other. That's a horrible life. I'm going to tell you, it's terrible for your kids as well. I still suffer from it. A good way to react to her silent treatment is to remain kind and stay positive. Try to do something different for her without expecting anything in return. Accept the fact that sometimes she feels kind of dull and tired of the marriage when something about the family or children or work-life balance bothers her. Okay, maybe she's giving you hints and you haven't taken them. In this situation, you may try to show kindness to her as much as possible. Here's something I learned about men. I learned this about my husband. Okay, us women are horrible. We give hints about everything. We don't just say whatever it is. So I'll go ahead and give you an example. So one day I had this marriage counselor. This when we were living in Charlotte. A Christian marriage counselor was on the show. He was talking about the difference between men and women. And I'm like, yeah, not kidding. There really is. He said, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, we were going down the road one day and I just said, I like Frosties. I just simply said that. Well, Phil just kept going. He was driving. And then I just looked at him really funny. And he said, what is it? And I said, I wanted a Frosty. I said, I wanted a Frosty. And he said, you didn't say you wanted a Frosty. You said you liked Frosties. See what I mean? I should have said, stop, get me a Frosty. Oh, I should have just said that. Then he wants to turn around and go get me a Frosty. And I said, forget it. I have to beg you for it. I don't want it. So we got to be intentional with what we want. Okay, don't hint. I'm really learning. And women are like, this is a flaw we have, women. We hint at everything. You just got to simply say it, okay? Because we're created differently, and we think differently, which just kind of makes it spicy and exciting at the same time. But we are different, so make sure, don't hint. Don't do that. Okay, let's go ahead and cut into a commercial break, and we're going to be right back in just a few minutes. So y'all hang in there, okay? We'll be right back. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018. The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com.
No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers.
Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes.
Okay, we are back. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio. We're your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, syndicated on Roku, and you can find us on Apple and Amazon Fire, and that's on Abundance Television, and channel 182 on Charter Communications. That's in North Alabama. Thank you again so much for watching. In the previous show, we were talking about when your husband ignores you. Now we're doing it the other way too. What if the wife ignores you? This is from a really good website. I like this one. Atarman.com. That's ATARMAN.com. So we've been through some of these reasons why she could be. Most of it is just miscommunication. I promise you, if you go down to the root of almost every problem on earth, it's the miscommunication. Yeah, it's just, somebody took it the wrong way. That's how most of it is. Okay, so respect your wife's differences. We're just different. I mean, we're just like we're from another planet. You know what I mean? And so although he may sometimes forget, relationships require a profound respect for each other's differences. True. It's equally as important to note that having differences doesn't mean that one person is right or the other one is wrong. Absolutely. If your wife's ignoring you, then try to respect her differences. Even if you didn't agree with her opinion, but instead of arguing that time, respect her opinion and try to understand exactly what she wants to say, because we say things a little bit different than y'all do. I mean, we really do. Debating her opinions will only push her farther away. You don't want her to feel attacked. After all, they do say that opposites attract. That's true. Give her some time. It could be she's angry with you, or she simply is going through something hard in her life that does not even concern you in any way. Then your wife can ignore you. All she needs is space, but she won't ask you for that. All she will do, she's just ignoring you. That's all. And maybe she's ignoring you because you acted like something was silly. Maybe one of her friends did something and you just thought it was just the silliest thing. And maybe you even made a reference, like, man, she won't stop talking about her problems when Jack comes in every day from work. Well, then she's heard you say that. And then she's thinking, well, I'm not going to tell him anything that happens to him because he's thinking I'm silly. And he probably didn't mean it that way at all. I mean, probably nothing like that. But see, we got to be careful how we say things to each other. Give her time. In other words, ignore her wisely. That will work. Your spouse may be going through a phase that requires some time, or perhaps they're battling some inner demons. Whatever the case may be, realize that it's easier to calmly invite closeness rather than angrily demanding it. It will give you time to think about the feelings of both of you, and remember not to force her to talk until she's ready. I'm telling you, this way as women are made. We're wired that way. When we're ready, we'll talk. But now y'all are wired that way too. Absolutely. Okay, number 5, cool off the pursuit. Just cool it, okay? Oftentimes when the husband's upset by wife's ignorance, he may go into a pursuit mode. And unfortunately, this only makes the situation worse. If you chase your wife at times that she's made it clear she wanted her space, chances are she will only distance herself further. Instead, respect that your wife needs some time alone and don't pursue her. Maybe she just needs to think about it. Maybe somebody she went to school with passed away and she needs to just deal with it in her own way. because maybe she heard you say something about somebody else's wife, blah, 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 blah. The woman was like nagging, and it wasn't a nag at all, you know. So sometimes guys say stuff, sometimes we say stuff. That just happens. Number 6, pay attention to the things which she needs. Then not always ignore her needs, because maybe this is why she started ignoring you, okay? Can happen. Many times husbands are so busy with the work that they do not have any attention towards the family, even to the kids, okay? They get relaxed by handing over all the responsibility of the family to the wife, but on some family issues, she needs your suggestion or your opinion, but you're not serious about it. I've heard a lot of folks talk about this, and this is a common thing, like maybe one of the kids gets into drugs, and the husband or the wife might say, well, that's your job to handle that. No, it's the family's job to handle that. It's for both spouses to handle that, okay? And sometimes people will say that because they don't know how to handle it. But if you get together on an issue, whether it's the kids or whatever it is, cooking, that can be an issue. But whatever it is, get together about it, okay? And I'm going to have to say this. I've got the world's best daughter-in-law. No one has anyone better than mine. My daughter-in-law is like the tops. We've never had an argument. She's like my daughter. That's the way it is. So Brad has always said, when I get married, my wife's going to need to know how to cook. Well, come to find out, Larissa did not know how to cook then. She just didn't know how. So Brad says, you know what? She's embarrassed because she can't cook. And I said, you know how to cook. Teach her. And I think Larissa thought I was going to be negative about it. I said, no, you were always... See, what happened, you have to understand dynamics. You have to understand situations. So Larissa and her sisters and brothers, they all had their own chores at home. They lived in this great old big pretty house. Part of Larissa's job was to clean the baseboards in the house. So she came over after they got married and she said, I just don't know how to cook. And I said, well, you know what? I don't know how to clean baseboards like you do either. That's all it took. Really, I think she said, you probably look at the food I do make. And I said, you probably look at my baseboards. Really, there's nothing wrong with the spouse not knowing how to cook. You just learn to cook together. Start taking lessons. Go to a class. And it'll be something like you can do, like a date night. Every Friday night we go and watch someone cook. Really, she'll pick it up. He'll pick it up, whoever. It doesn't really matter. And that's what I told Brad. I said, and Larissa both, I said, it doesn't really matter who cooks, does it? I mean, who cares? So anyway, now she can. She can cook. She sends me pictures now of stuff that she does. And she's like turning this little gourmet cook. She's doing really good at it. Understand her state of mind. Okay, with different mediums of communications, ask what she may need to make things better between the two of you. If she says it's not all right to share with you what she may need, just let her be, let it go. Okay? Now, get yourself busy. If it's very important to keep yourself busy in such a situation, being idle and think about why she is ignoring you will give you a million reasons. And you're going to be coming up with some weird stuff. And I'm going to tell you probably 99% of the things we worry about don't even happen. Yeah, that's just the way it is. Just go on and do your thing. Be kind. In addition to your work, go out with your friends, join a gym, watch your favorite movie, and keep yourself busy. This will keep you occupied and not get angered by her choice to ignore you. Set some personal goals of your own and just attack them. Now's a great time to focus on the things you want to do. It's the best remedy for getting overly focused on your partner and imagine things that are not there. I think that's why a lot of marriages go sour. We have too much idle time. And we're thinking about, oh my God, what if they're doing this? What if they're doing that? What if they've done this? What if they've done that? And you know what? Probably not. Okay, make a date, not a diagnosis. Women don't like being diagnosed. No. So if you find your wife's ignoring you and you would like to reconnect with her, then plan a date with her. Absolutely. Date night. That's crucial to a marriage. The best way to reestablish an emotional connection is by making your relationship a priority and spending quality time together. Diagnosing their behavior is usually only going to make things worse. Remember that she will always respond better to positivity than scrutiny. Because here's the way women are wired. Okay, you're basically you're telling us what we should do. You're being scrutiny. You're doing all this kind of. We're thinking he thinks we're stupid. I mean, that's just the way we're wired, guys. That's the way we're wired. Okay, I'm like your sister. I'm telling you guys. Okay, that's what she thinks. Okay, number 10, communicate without blaming. Tell your wife that you're feeling ignored by using I statements. Say things like, I'm feeling ignored today. Avoid blaming statements like, you're not paying enough attention to me. Just say, I'm feeling ignored today. That's all you got to do. Shut up. Don't say another word. Okay? He who speaks first loses. Let her be the one that speaks. Once the conversation starts, make her feel that you're listening to her very carefully, okay? Don't start looking up at the wall and all this kind of stuff. Look her in the eyes and let her talk. If you'll let her talk, I promise you it'll be a lot less talk than you think, okay? The reason she keeps on and on and on is because she thinks you're ignoring her. Listening to her side of the conversation will help you to understand what's happening with her. Once you have a better understanding of what's going on in the relationship, you can begin to take steps to overcome it. Love unconditionally. You cannot control your wife's behavior, but you can control your own. Regardless of how your spouse may be acting, you should always choose to treat them with love. This is not easy when your wife's ignoring you, but what you agreed to do when you got married was to for better or worse. Remember that. And besides, nothing breaks down emotional barriers like unconditional love. Absolutely. It works every single time. Number 12, make yourself attractive. Make yourself attractive physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. Do it for you, but it will also affect your wife. We're not telling you to compete with your wife's lover or a friend to win her back. Just simply attempt to be as attractive as you can in every stage in your life. And I like the way this writer put this. It said, make yourself attractive physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. Just get involved at the local gym. Go for walks, bike rides, join a book club. Every wife likes to look at her husband read. Yeah, this looks so studious, or revive your hobbies you had left behind in the pace of life. Not only will those things help you be more attractive physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually, but they'll give you things to do and new friends to enjoy to help you resist the urge to pursue or be retentive towards your wife. The last one, number 13, your perception of her behavior. It's also important to examine your perception of what's happening. If your wife actually is ignoring you or you're feeling neglected, even though her behaviors have not changed, sometimes people just make assumptions about their partners that are not always true. And it's very important to examine how realistic it is that your wife is actually ignoring you. Maybe she's not. Maybe you're the one. Accept that your wife could be behaving this way for a number of different reasons. It can be a million reasons. Perhaps she's struggling with feelings of depression or lacking self-confidence and just doesn't want to tell you. Maybe she's stressed at work or she's feeling exhausted from day-to-day routine. No matter the reason, don't give up, okay? We can't give up on each other, okay? We're in this together. We're in our spouses together. When this happens, it's important to remain calm and pleasant and positive. Don't push your wife or demand an explanation. Just simply be there for her and do what you can to make the situation better for the both of you. You can make your wife fall back in love with you all over again. You don't have to worry about whether your wife is on the brink of asking you for a divorce. You can control the situation and use specific practices to naturally make her fall hopelessly in love with you again. Get the favorite song that you guys used to have and just dance with her. That will do a lot to recover that. I promise you that. Find the song and dance. Never hurts a thing. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and information. You can also find us on television. Channel 182 on Charter Communications. We are syndicated on Abundant TV, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Hope you have a great day today, and thank you so much for watching the show. Definitely appreciate it.